Oh, right. We were just waiting for 7 people. That's what we were waiting for. We had 5, but we needed 7.
Then we went 4, and then it went to 7.
Now there's 8.
Oh,
man.
Cool.
So this is just beginning 10. To boom. Look at 10. This is fantastic. But we are super thankful for the time tonight, you guys, just to dive in with Family Ministries here and spend a little time talking about, oh gosh, this crazy days that we're in, but more importantly about what's to come. And as hazy as it is, we're trying to just do a better job communicating with you guys and getting some input and feedback and share our hearts. And so hopefully we'll have the opportunity to spend about an hour tonight and doing, all of that. And then the cool part is this is all getting recorded as well. So by the end of this, then if you have friends or maybe a spouse that didn't get to catch it or whatever, then it's going to be available almost immediately to be able to watch again or forward over to other parents that couldn't make it tonight or missed it for whatever reason. If you're not real familiar, if you haven't maybe joined us for morning coffee or midweek or even on the weekend services, welcome to YouTube Live. And then on the chat there, on the side, you've got the ability to kind of chat and interact with us. And we have got Mandy and Marissa kind of being able to interact with you on the chat. If I interact with you, because I'm borrowing Austin's computer right now, I could say something as Austin Turner right now and get him in trouble. So we see Jennifer Whitmore, hello. Anna DeVito, good to see you, Anna. I hope to hang out with you and your family here soon. They're in our life group, so they're extra cool. This is a good rundown. I'm trying to look over here on who we've got in the chat so far. So feel free to drop in and say something, and then I'll know that you're there. The now up to 19 watching, at least from our deal right here. So super thankful for you guys spending the time and just joining in with us. Okay, here's what we want to do. We're going to spend roughly an hour together. We're going to give you a rundown on the ministries, some of the breakdown in the ministries, re-familiarize some of you with the ministry, and then we're also going to allow the crew around here a little bit of opportunity to share their heart and share the fall plan in the respective ministries that make up Family Ministries, which is kid and youth ministry, and that's birth through 18-year-old basically. And then we're going to have a time for Q&A, and then you're going to ask a Q right there in the chat, and then Q&A or Q&R, as we often say, will give you an answer, we'll give you a response there by the time the thing is done. You are able to ask a question at any point. What might be a little easier on us is if you kind of hold the question until we get to that portion, and then we'll be able to make sure we don't miss any. Okay? Christy, I'm glad you're listening. Manny, hello. Manny, hello. Terry, hello. Kimberly. This is like Romper Room. How many of you are old enough to remember Romper Room?
What is that?
It was a crazy old PBS show.
I know PBS.
And the teacher would you weren't even born yet,
oh.
but she would get out this magnifying glass, and it was kind of creepy because then she would look directly into the camera and she'd go, I see Bobby, and I see Johnny, and I see Jennifer, and I remember being a child going, this is so weird. She could see me through the. Thad Rummage, hello, Thad. Hope you guys are doing well there. So feel free to interact with each other in there, and then you can put a question anytime, but again, near the end of this, we'll allow time we'll be answering these questions. So Jody says, I see Karen and Joyce and Jerry in the mirror. So good, you've got this figured out. As we dive in, folks, we just want to do a couple of things just right off the top. One is just to say thank you. Thank you just for who you are. You are the primary discipler of your kids. Now, we all play a privileged part in coming alongside and helping equip those little saints to come to know Jesus and then to do the work of the ministry, but it is not detached from you guys as parents. And so whether you are a parent or guardian or a single parent or both parents in the home, we know there's all sorts of families out there. Just super thankful. We couldn't do what we're doing without you. And here's our commitment is just to do in this coming year, regardless of any sort of crazy circumstances surrounding COVID or what the schooling schedule is like, you've got to hear me loud and clear. Our heart is to do our ministry to the family better than we've ever done in the last 10 years or so. And that isn't to say that there hasn't been great ministry and these seasons of different leaders being used, but we're also really aware that it's just been a lot of transition, a lot of different issues in the last several years, and you could go into all sorts of long story and reasons for that, but the heart is for here and now. The heart is for the future. The heart is for your kids and what they're facing and what they're going through. And so we own these crazy days. We're happy to dive in, roll up our sleeves, figure it out. We want to be real honest that we have not known exactly how to operate in these last several months. Just to be completely honest, and part of me wants to apologize for that. Our heart is to really be able to love in a tangible way. The first couple of months, we didn't even know what to do because the regulations were such that you could hardly go out. And as you would imagine, what's going on in the adult world, it's going on in the families too. So there's as many families that don't want their kids interacting at all, going out at all, as other families that are going, please take my kid and go do something or minister to them in this way or that. There's kids and youth that are super open to learning via video or interacting via video, and there's others that's like the absolute worst thing that they could possibly imagine. So we're learning. We haven't taken every step perfectly in this. We apologize for that, but thank you just for the grace and the patience as we go. Now this summer, Kids has continued to crank out content digitally, and that's being consumed on all different levels. It's been a real celebration. Even the virtual VBS and hundreds of kids that got to take part in that. The youth just in the last month here being able to do the park days. We're seeing just really cool turnout of a mixture of core kids and then kids that are core inviting friends who don't know Jesus at all. And so it's just trying to reestablish in an outdoor setting in a way that's safe, just get back, roll up our sleeves, have some good relationship with those kiddos again. But we also just want to own that communication has been difficult. It's difficult in general, but one of the challenges in communication has been just to know what channels people are involved in. From text messaging to emails to social media to the website. We just learned that half of our contacts in our database did not get merged in the last couple of months from a transition that our whole communications department was doing a long time ago. And we've been sending out stuff and not knowing that only half the people were getting it. Text messages seem to be laggy, and then a lot of parents would not prefer to have their cell number, while others are totally fine with it. My spam folder in my email is filled with about 3/4 Heights email that for some reason goes straight to that. So we're just constantly trying to figure stuff out. A lot of that is excuses, and we don't want to just sit here and make excuses. What we're trying to do is get better at it. And so this is an attempt to communicate better. We've got a whole plan for that going forward. But we just wanted to be really honest with just this hard journey. Thank you for the grace and patience in it. And then here's a commitment to make this the most amazing fall ever, even with the COVID situation. So a couple of things. Here's a quick rundown. Ministry breakdowns. Some of you just are not real familiar. Others of you, maybe you've had kids only in one area and they're transitioning to another. So here's the deal, starting with the little guys. Early childhood is what we call birth through 5-year-old ministry. And 5 is a little bit different too, because sometimes, kindergartners dive into kindergarten at 4 years old, some at 6 years old, but most at 5. So early childhood is birth through 5 years old. Mandy Reisinger is our early childhood director, and Crystal Macari is our early childhood coordinator. And then in elementary school, we have K through 3 now, and Pastor James Reisinger is over K through 3, and he also, as the pastor of kids ministry, oversees early childhood and our new 4th, 5th ministry. So early childhood, birth through 5. K through 3 elementary, and then also within kids ministry is 4-5 ministry, and that is a new one for us here at Heights. Instead of 5th, 6th, we're going to have 4th, 5th. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And Sarah Brizuela will be leading the 4th, 5th ministry and seeing what that's going to do in ministering even more specifically to that age group of kid. Then in youth ministry, youth is made up of middle school and high school. Middle school is now 6th, 7th, and 8th grade under Austin Turner, and then 9th through 12th grade under Hector Lopez. So there's the ministry breakdown by age group, and so we've got birth through 5th grade falling into kids, and then 6th through 12th grade in our youth ministries. So there's kind of the rundown. The recent thing that, if you watch the video, adjustment that we made was to 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And we know that there's going to be a lot of questions about that and a lot of concerns that are totally valid. And we really, really hear you. And tonight is to communicate an awful lot, but it's also to be able to listen. So please catch our hearts in that. We're really trying to listen well and learn. But this decision to move 4th and 5th grade into its own ministry under the umbrella of kids came after a whole lot of conversation and a whole lot of prayer with all sorts of people, on staff, off staff, and whatnot. And one of the huge things that led us there is just the reality that developmentally, kids are facing things earlier and earlier in life. I mean, culturally speaking, the stuff that maybe as parents you and I dealt with in late junior high or early high school is now hitting 5th graders, even 4th graders. And so to get the kids grouped up into smaller groups that were more age-appropriate groups and not have 4th graders that were ready to have a different level of conversation or have some of their issues addressed biblically or in good conversation with godly leaders, we felt like that was key for 4th graders to take a step up and then not cloud that bigger group where you've got kindergarten in with 4th. So now kindergarten through 3rd, but then 4th and 5th will be its own. So they'll be doing their own. We had a good question from Kimberly Moody, and she was saying, her 5th grader was looking forward to not being in the kids program anymore and getting to be a part of all the fun things that 5th, 6th got to do. Well, that is what 4th, 5th are going to experience now. Some of the fun, some of the excitement, but up a notch in biblical teaching and care and discipleship. So they'll get that in 4th, 5th. Then it starts the conversation, what do you do with 6th grade? And I know this is what causes either some of the concern for some of you or the excitement for others, because there's a bunch of parents that we've talked to that's similar, Kimberly, to your kid, that maybe in 6th grade they were going, oh gosh, my kid can't do the kid thing anymore, and they really need to step up into a different phase. Now there's tons of others that fall into that 6th grade category that they just are not ready for middle school at all, and the thought of being grouped with 7th and 8th graders is like terrifying. And we all remember those days. Each of us at this table probably lived that out differently. But there's the challenge. Now, what do you do with 6th grade? Well, out of the prayer and conversation, 6 being a part of kids ministry didn't quite make sense anymore as we made the transition. And we know, just like fourth graders wrestling earlier and earlier with stuff, sixth graders, it's happening in the same way. So to move them up into middle school became kind of the natural step for us. But then here's the deal. We know sixth grade is unique. We know it's a transition year. Like I just said, some are ready to go and step a full feet, both of them, head first, however direction they want to go, right into middle school. And others, they're not ready for it yet. So sixth grade is a very transitionary year. Austin will speak more to this later, but sixth grade is going to have a whole bunch of things this year that are targeted solely at sixth grade. And when they want to, they'll always have the opportunity to step up into middle school stuff with 7th and 8th graders. There'll be some moments where they're all together for sure, but the majority of time for the 6th graders is going to be in a small group sort of format based on their grade and their gender. And so for the ones that are maybe a little more concerned, the good news is they're going to be with their fellow 6th graders and never pushed into something that they're not ready for, and better able for us through special events and different activities targeted just for them in that transitionary year that'll help bridge that gap, disciple them better, care for them as best as we can. Okay, so we're trying our best, and we're listening to you, the concerns and all. Okay, I would love just to have an opportunity to shut up for just a minute. And what I would love is just to kind of go around, and I would love for you to hear a little bit of the ministry heart and a little bit of the fall plans, as tentative as they have to be right now, from each of the ministries. And so we're going to work our way from kids up through youth and just take a handful of minutes from each of them just to tell you where we're headed. And then when we're done with that, we'll open it up for questions. Does that sound okay? All right. So James, we'll start with you. Pastor James Reisinger, kids pastor, and real hands-on there with K through 3rd, oversees the early elementary, and works with Sarah in 4th, 5th. And then he's got Cody Goswick, who's our elementary coordinator, part-time. And so quite the plate there. Yes. Can you give us just a little bit of your heart and maybe some of the fall lineup?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I've been very fortunate. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents raised me in that. And I quickly, at a young age, almost like right out of high school, got into ministry. And I had a leader that spoke into my life. And that's that mentorship that we're talking about, and we're going to talk more about. That's what got a hold of my life. And I quickly started, like junior high it was called the junior high ministry at the time. I just fell in love with it. I love the transition time period. It actually fired me up, and eventually became the leader and pastor over that ministry and was there for a while. What's interesting is God eventually switched gears when I thought I was like, I'm on my roll. God switched a role on me and moved me into law enforcement. It was kind of like, okay, where are we going with this guy? So moved into law enforcement, and I'm trying to figure out, where does ministry happen in this? And I learned such a great time of a love for ministries in multiple churches. I got to step into a couple different churches and walk alongside of them when they just needed someone to be there. Was I the best person? I don't know. But God opened that door for me, and he grew me in a way to be able to see ministry in so many different angles, from just person who's serving it to someone who's on staff. And it was such an amazing thing and a period for me to see it from a large group ministry to, I had the church before we moved up here, I had a pastor that spoke into my life and said, hey, I need you to be the family pastor at our church. And I said, great, I'm on board, I'm ready. How many kids do we have? Oh, we don't have any kids a part of the church. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so learned what even that meant and being a part of that. And then God opened eventually, when we moved up here, the opportunity to be a part of the kids pastor. I quickly have fallen in love with the kids and seeing just even these young minds just be able to speak into what God is doing to them, how they, in their mind, see what God is doing, how they see God And I mean, it has been life change for me. And I've been able to be a part of some people's lives that a team that is just amazing. Crystal, Mandy, and Cody, they are doing an amazing job in the ministry. And I just feel blessed that God has opened me up to be a part of that. And it's kind of, that is the thing that's going on with this fall plan that we're looking at. And we're keep on looking at is like, okay, where are we at? What's new? One of the things that we're continuing into our fall, one of the things, if parents, you don't know what we're doing, we've been trying to send out emails every Sunday, and we use our Parent Q app.
Right.
That connects right with our curriculum that we're using. And there's multiple different things that we're sending them. We're actually sending home a document that parents can actually do in their house. As we've said at the beginning, parents are the most influential people, and now they can actually even take that and we're a little bit further with you, so you have material to actually talk with your kids, and we want to provide that for all ages. So we're continuing that into the fall. We're continuing our Wednesday night live, but one of the things that we are looking at is just new ways to kind of make it fun and exciting and present the gospel and the message. And so we have some fun things planned coming up. If you haven't tuned into Wednesday Night Live yet, you need to. We got some fun things. Sarah's being a part of it. She kind of roped me into something, and you may not even know this, that you're going to get roped into.
You'll be safe.
You'll be safe. Do you remember the last one where someone got slimed?
Yeah.
And you were safe?
I was. Yeah.
It's in the same vein.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say what it is, but probably the person you would probably expect is going to, some unfortunate things might happen to them, and some others might have a lot of fun and big smiles, and hopefully you too. But you guys want to be a part of it. We're doing these things because we want to just have fun together. We want to smile, we want to laugh, and find these joys. And so we're going to be continually doing these things as well. A couple of things that are changing with the Wednesday Night Live is, first of all, it's been at 7:30. We're going to be moving that to 6:30 p.m. And we're doing that so that it's before the midweek, and it's a little bit better time for hopefully families, kind of after that meal time, before the bedtime. We know that families are doing a lot with online in this season, and so we're wanting to be very sensitive to all of you, just trying to find that best time period that makes it easy for you and to do it together as a whole family.
When's that going to start?
That's going to start after August 9th. So
Okay,
I think that's the 11th.
The Wednesday after.
The Wednesday
Okay.
after. That will is when that will kick off.
Cool.
But we're changing. Normally we're on YouTube, like we are right here. We're going to be actually changing to a different platform. So you'll be getting links on that, and it's through what's called Playlister. And the reason why we're doing that is copyright stuff that they've asked us to honor, and which we are more than willing to honor. So there's a couple different changes that will come, but we are going to be providing all that information to you so that it's not difficult for you to find. So that's kind of like the big plan.
Awesome.
We are looking at the future of when we have those opportunities to gather, what are some things that we can do? So we're always kind of thinking about what does that look like.
Right.
But at this season right now, we're not making anything locked down.
Yeah.
But we are visioning for what that could look like.
Yeah, yeah. As you could imagine, it's one thing to get even youth together and have some sense of social distancing. The younger the kids, the more difficult and challenging that becomes. And so we'll keep sending out these great resources for you to have good biblical conversation, teach some good lessons at home. In our family, like the Wednesday nights don't always work, but what the cool part is we can show that video anytime with Leilani and really then lead to some good conversation afterwards. So we'll keep those resources coming your way for kids. So yeah, Sarah now in 4th, 5th. I mean, you were doing 5th, 6th this last year, albeit interrupted by the COVID situation. But will you give us a little bit of your heart and then fall plans for 4th, 5th?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Sarah. For you 4th grade parents who haven't met me, it's me. I'm Sarah. But yeah, just a little bit about my heart. I became a Christian like really early on. I think when I was like 4 or 5. My parents were not like the best parents, and so my grandparents had to step in, and they knew who Jesus was, and they really showed me the love of Christ. Like they literally took us out from an unsafe situation, pulled us out, and they just showed us the love of Christ,
amazing.
you know, and then they plugged us into church and just really told us the truth about who God is, and like really told us the truth about life, because like we came from a broken home essentially, you know, and then my grandparents were just able to come in and just really show us who Christ was. And so the big question that I get is like, whoa, what about your real parents? Like, don't you ever miss them? And like, yeah, I have like love for them, but God has been so faithful in the sense of the people that He sent to me. So in every season of my life, like my grandfather was my father, you know, my grandmother was my mother. Leaving home, like I had mentors who just popped into my life, and they just became that a voice of wisdom in my life, or just that mother figure that I needed in the moment, or just that father figure that I needed in the moment. And so, yeah, it's just, so my heart towards ministry is just like that intimate relationship that you have with the Lord is like, it's hard to have because there's so many things, like so many life situations or circumstances that are not ideal. But God still speaks into those moments, and He uses so many people and different people. Sometimes people surprise you, and you're like, I never knew that you were going to be the person that I was going to have this conversation with 10 years down the road.
Does that impact like your ministry view, since like people that weren't necessarily mom or dad had such a big impact on you? I mean, now you're orchestrating teams of people really that get to be those mentors for kids. That's so cool.
Yes, that kind of switches like the way that I view ministry, because it's so, like, if you're a mom and a dad, like, I want to be able to support you and be able to speak into your child's life. I think that is so key and so essential, and that's a lot of work. You know, my parents never had that. I mean, my grandparents tried to speak into their lives, but they never had that, like, support or that encouragement. And so when I look at parents, I'm like, wow, you have such a huge job. How can we come alongside and help you? And then kids, it's like they're with their parents all the time. They're like, okay, I need a breather. So who are the people that I can lead to help be voices in their lives? So, yeah, I'm very, like, people-to-people kind of, like, ministry relationship is really important. And so a really big thing with 4th and 5th, again, I want it to be a solid bridge before they, you know, go off into middle school. Middle school is a time where, like, you make decisions. Like, you actually, you know, you're not at home making a decision, like, should I take the cookie or should I not? You know, you're at school. Should I do this with my friends? Is this a good choice? Is this a bad choice?
Sarah, there's people like throwing shout outs of love to you here. And Austin actually posted something that he has the coolest hair on the whole staff, which, you know, that's a little in the middle of the thing. Really? You're doing that? But we love Sarah. Sarah's awesome. Sarah's amazing. Loves kids so well. Whittemore girls love Sarah. I think Austin's pretty cool. Can't wait to get to know Hector more. So, I mean, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so my plan is to just really have solid leaders that can lead 4th and 5th graders. Because as 4th and 5th graders grow up, like, they're going to have the tough questions, you know, and life is not happy all the time. Like, it just isn't. And so it's so helpful to have that one person in their life where they can just be like, yeah, life is not going well. But this is how Jesus shows up in that. And this is what Jesus says about you. And this is the promises that He has for you. So that's just kind of, how my heart affects ministry and how all of that plays together. So for fall plans, for right now, just because of restrictions and comfortability of 4th graders and being in other people's homes, for right now, I really want to launch fall virtual small groups. And so with that, obviously, comes a lot of communication that will be coming towards you parents, just getting your contact information and getting a registration going and stuff like that. However, we've come into a little hiccup. We need leaders. Like, we are in desperate need of leaders. Obviously, this time is so challenging where, you know, some leaders they don't have the capacity to pour into other people, or, some leaders are, following their kids up into middle school and leading them there. And so right now for 4th and 5th specifically, in order to launch the virtual small groups, like, I really need, like, people who are just willing to, like, love kids well, tell them about Jesus, and, like, tell them the real truth, not just, like, this fluff of that's not reality. So that's just kind of where we're at and just the direction that we're heading in. Obviously, our hope is to gather at some point, because there's so much social interaction that is missed, obviously. Like, I feel like we're all grieving that to some degree. And so the hope, is to be there at some point. But in the meanwhile, just strengthening those relationships so that when we do get to see each other, it's just so much more, like, it's just a bigger celebration.
Yeah, that's great. Is your email Sarah or Sarah B?
Sarah at heightschurch.com.
Okay.
I do go by Sarah B, though, because there's a lot of Sarahs in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, super thankful for you, Sarah, and you too, James, and what Kids is doing, Mandy and Cody and Crystal. Huge, huge blessing. So we're like 5:34 and trying to land the plane by 6. Got youth to go and then some questions to come. So we're doing well, on track. So Austin Turner, the man, the myth, the hair. Do you want to give us just a little bit of your heart and a little bit of your heart and story, and then some of the fall plans for middle school?
Yes, of course. So middle school is such an interesting time I feel like it's one of the hardest times in, like, the kid growing up journey, because you're right at the beginning of the adolescent years. Puberty starts at that time. It's just hard. It's a hard time for students to exist, just because so many things are changing all the time, and you got mood swings, you got all this stuff happening, and then as parents, I can only imagine, like, you're faced with all these new challenges when it comes to the middle school years. And so one thing, I started at Heights in 6th grade in our middle school ministry, and I think that's where, because knowing who I was in middle school, I think people that came alongside me, leaders 6th through 8th grade, that just loved me anyway, was a huge blessing, and actually set me up really, really well for high school. And them loving me through all of those middle school years and even through high school has just dramatically changed my life. And it was in high school when God was like, Austin, I want you, like, you have a heart. I made you for middle school. I made you for those years. That's where I was like, God wants me to do this for forever. And so I love middle school, 6th through 8th grade. Now I know 6th grade is it's a strange year. Now if we say middle school, 6th through 8th grade are those weird years in like especially a teenager's life, man, 6th grade is like the weirdest, because it feels like for a semester, you are still like, the little kid, you're like, oh, but I'm not in kids ministry. I'm too old for that. But I'm also not in really middle school, because, you're just weird. But then, that second semester rolls around and you're like, well, now I'm in middle school, like you're too old for any of them. And now you feel like you belong with the 7th and 8th graders. And so it's just weird. There's no way around that. That's just a weird phase in life, it really doesn't matter where you grow up. It's strange. And so I love all of those years. I love all of those grades. I could not be more excited. Sarah was giving me the lowdown on these new 6th graders that are coming in. Obviously she loves them, and she has told me many times, she's like, you better take care of them. Like
I wrote it down on the board. She
wrote it down in my office, like, but I am so excited for that class. And so speaking of that, we have new plans coming up for middle school. One thing that I am so excited about, we have always believed in life groups in middle school and high school. Those are something that we love to start because we obviously believe in what Heights believes, that life is just better in those small groups. And so one of our big beliefs, and COVID can't stop this because I believe this is, this is what God wants, and God had this coming way before we knew COVID was coming, is that life groups are going to be a huge part of our DNA. When I say that, we are taking life groups, which are normally held on Wednesday nights. We are going to take them, we are going to move them off campus and into homes. We are going to separate them by grade and gender. All right, so that means, and just like Ron was saying earlier, that, sixth grade, they're spending most of their time with their life group leader in their own gender and grade separated group. And so for most of their sixth grade year, especially first semester, they are with their own age and with their own gender. And they will be with that leader all year, and that leader will, they will do stuff off campus with them. They will have groups in homes with them. And so that obviously goes with 7th and 8th grade as well. But that's just a huge benefit to doing groups in home, is that it's way more casual. It's more comfortable. It helps break down walls. And it just allows for better conversations. And we all know that when we were growing up, one of our favorite things to do was to go over to friends' houses and spend time with them and get outside of our own house and actually go to someone else's couch, go to someone else's place, play at their house. All of those things are so important. And that's just, we still, even as adults, like to do that. And so part of
all the time.
Part of us moving off campus has everything to do with, it's just such a better environment to just have better conversations and to grow closer together. Another thing that we are going to start is we are moving our youth group night. Now, obviously, this is COVID.
Post-COVID.
Yeah. Post-COVID, post when we can meet in large groups again. But in the future, when we can actually meet on campus as a large group, our youth group night, which is all 6th through 8th grade, will be on Sunday nights. So normally, if you've been with us before or you've known youth for years, even when I was doing 6th through 12th grade at Heights, was on Wednesday night. And so we're actually moving everything off of Wednesday night. And so our large group gatherings, which obviously post-COVID, all that stuff, will be on Sunday nights moving forward. And our life groups in homes will be either Monday nights or Tuesday nights, depending on when those groups can meet. One of our biggest things is that by the time you hit middle school, and even before middle school, 4th and 5th grade, students are doing club sports. And they either practice Monday, Wednesdays, or Tuesdays, Thursdays, or whatever. So one of our big things is we want to be able to at least give everyone as best opportunity as possible to meet in these life groups in homes. And so we are offering the option based on the majority of that groups. Like if you're in a 6th grade girls life group and your group all is like, I have Monday nights free, perfect. That's when those would meet. That's just an example, obviously. But that is why we're having these options, because we obviously want students so badly a part of these life groups, because we know that obviously that helps with the 6th grade transition, but it helps so much with 7th and 8th graders as well. So that is, I believe, tentatively, obviously we will start with life groups in homes because we can. Because those are smaller groups. COVID, we will take all the safety precautions, cleaning, sanitizing, all of those things. And then just so it's on your radar, Sunday nights are the new youth night for middle school post-COVID restrictions.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Austin, you mean a ton to our church, and I know my boys, you're their hero. So it's a privilege just to see what you've done, just building relationships. And this season's going to be really good because that discipleship aspect is so huge. I think it kind of like it's irreducible minimum. Discipleship is just one believer taking responsibility to prepare another believer for heaven, or for glory, you know. And so that's on all of us. Once I follow Jesus now, like, I'm called to disciple others and prepare them, but the kids do that then kind of with each other, the youth do that with each other, leaders do that with the youth, with the kids. I mean, that's a really special thing. And so to emphasize that while still having, you know, these opportunities down the road to gather up is going to be super cool. So awesome. Thanks, Austin. All right, wrap us up. Hector Lopez, who also goes by Pablo, is our high school ministry lead, 9th through 12th grade. You talk about a big age span. You know, we wrestle with these 1 grades here and there, legitimately so, but goodness gracious, like, good luck. My son's a freshman, you know, gonna be a freshman, and then some of those seniors, like, they look like older than James, and it's like crazy.
Older than me.
Yeah, definitely older than you. But why don't you give us a little bit of your heart, Pablo, and then just some of the tentative fall plans for high school.
Yeah. First of all, I'm so nervous in front of cameras. So it's like the worst. You put me on a stage, it's fine. The minute you put me in front of a camera, I feel like I freeze. And then also, shout out to Marissa behind the camera. We love you. Anyway, if you didn't know, she was there. She's there. Yeah, I mean, high school is this. It's a really, really cool experience to even come into our families. And by family, I mean our Heights family high school program. If you guys haven't had an opportunity to meet me, or I haven't had an opportunity to meet you, I'd love to. Shoot me an email. My email is hector@heightschurch.com, and I would love an opportunity to get to know you, maybe grab coffee or something. I love to get to know our parents in the area. But it's been an interesting journey. I think now, like, I counted the other day, I'm like, wow, I've been here a year. It's crazy. So I've been loving it, and your high schoolers are incredible. They are. And I saw my new list for our high schoolers this next semester, and I was bummed because we lost a bunch of seniors. And I got really excited because I got to take a freshman from Austin. And but you guys have some incredible students, and could I just tell you that's a huge testament to the parents we have. We have incredible parents in our church, and so everything that we're doing, can I tell you, like, something I just want to own real quick is our high school program is still rebuilding, and we have not been amazing at it. I honestly just hope we haven't done terrible at it, but we haven't been amazing at it, and we're really trying to figure out what does this look like. And one of our biggest statements is, we do not want to be a youth group, we want to be Heights youth group. And by that meaning, like, we don't want to be this silo thing on the side that's just like, really it's super fun, but it represents nothing of what our family is. And so one of our values is actually we're family people, and we say it every single week is we're family people, and we care about making sure that this looks and acts and is inserted with the culture of Heights Church. And what that looks like in the future is interesting with COVID. But yeah, I think moving forward, one of our big pushes is trying to unite with middle school. And I tell you, like, Austin Turner, I hate to put you on blast on this one, but it's crazy because I want to just kind of express how much I feel like God's been in the middle of this. He comes back from a vacation, and he's telling me this story where he was on a boat or something. What was the deal? You were on a boat, and God kind of, what was the whole thing? God spoke to you and said, this is something you're going to start, is life groups at home.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And it was incredible because I was already on that line of thinking. And he comes back, and totally no conversation about it, comes back and he's like, hey, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, this right here, this is unity, this is good. And so as a youth group as a whole, we want to move into this idea of having groups at home. And discipleship, one of the things that has been kind of leaning on my heart is the idea of apprenticeship in Jesus. and being able to find ways to communicate to our students in smaller groups. I think it's great. Like, I love the fact that we get on a stage and we talk to however many students we have that week, and it's awesome, but like, sometimes you're sitting there going like, there's so many giftings in the room of teachers that are leaders, and we need leaders too, by the way. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
All need leaders.
Everybody.
All need leaders. But it's just all these giftings that we have that we want to make sure we're actually giving out more than we're hoarding. And so even the teaching opportunities and all these different things that will, like even hosting homes, I mean, that's a blessing in itself. And so I just hope that you guys hear our heart. Like, this is very much a united front. We're super excited about this new season, and we're excited for the day we can gather again as a whole, but we're not sitting there going like, well, this isn't super awesome, because it is already. It's already going to be something that we're extremely excited about, and hopefully becomes part of the new normal in some shape or way or form. And so actually that's part of our fall plan, is having what we call house parties. And it's kind of in line with, it's very much verbiage to this idea of family. Families live in houses, and so we're calling them house parties. And so you're going to be a part of a house, and it's going to be super fun because you get to actually rely and confide in these people that are around you. And moving forward, we do need host homes. So if any parents out there, I've already got a few emails. We don't know how big this is going to get, or how few people will be comfortable with this at first. And so we don't know how many houses we'll need. We might need way more than we have right now. So if you want to open up your home, please let us know. You can email Marissa at youth@heightschurch.com and let her know about that. Also, if you're interested in being a leader at all, we need them. We're praying for them, so you'd be an answer to prayer. And what holier thing is there than being an answer to prayer? Amen. So yeah, just same email. Or call us and let us know that you're interested. We would love an opportunity to get to know you, grab coffee with you, and explore opportunities. So that's kind of our fall plan. And then just a quick thing. This is just because we don't know what this looks like, but we might have gatherings in the fall. If we do, they will be outside. And that one is just more of we don't know if we're moving forward with that. We don't know if we're not, but just so you guys know, yes, our intention is to have gatherings eventually, but they would be outside.
Cool. So yeah, Pablo Tyler Francis says you're not losing those seniors, or stuck with them forever.
Love you, Blake.
Which is great, and that's such a key part, because relationships do last forever. I mean, and that's a precious blessing that we've all got. Yeah, feel free on the chat here as. Marissa's just prompted to throw any questions that you might have, and we'll kind of work our way through those. As you do that, just know that there's a couple of things when we start to talk timeline. There is pre-fall break, and then there's post-fall break, and then there's probably something that we'll probably eventually designate post-COVID. And can I get an amen in the chat, or a right on for post-COVID?
Yeah, double hands.
But for us, the school districts are all kind of landing in different places right now with regard to distance learning and whatnot. Some of them have already said they're going to go all the way to fall break distance learning. Others are still hedging their bets, and we're waiting to hear the official word. But we know kind of in general that at least for kids and youth in the community, stuff's going to be a little bit odd, difficult from now until fall break, for sure. And so the best we want to do is anytime that we are gathering, it's going to be outside or in smaller groups in homes. If it is a larger gathering, you can guarantee it's going to be outdoors. And whether they're indoors or outdoors, we will be following all the guidelines, all the safety and health practices, from the sanitizing to the masks to the temperature stuff, all of that in host homes. So you can just be assured we're going to do our best just to keep kids and youth safe when we are getting together. post fall break, then that's kind of we don't quite know what we don't know yet, and so we'll keep communicating with you, both just in writing and then video. We're starting some of a print piece too that's a little difficult right now, where we're not gathering together, but that was one of our plans to do a better job of communicating. Was we had a print piece that was all set, it had everything that you wanted to know, semester by semester, and then we lost most of spring and we lost summer, and so that print piece will be helpful, but so will communication via video gatherings like this. Really encourage you to get on Instagram and Facebook. That is one way to troubleshoot some of the spam filters, email issues, texting lag issues, or whatnot. We'll continue to blast out in all of our different avenues. But if you and your kid, child, youth following us on Instagram and Facebook, then that's helpful to get the info. Yeah, Jody, assuming there ever is a post-COVID, man, I hope so. And so that's really huge. Will there be any, Thad Romage asking, will there be any youth events or activities before COVID restrictions are lifted? Who wants to take that?
So I'm kind of assuming on this one,
like Park Day right now. I mean, that's certainly.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about gatherings outside of the house groups.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We want them. That I just want you to know, like, we are not shying away from that one. We definitely want them,
Yep.
and as soon as we can, in any regard, we will, without going outside of the lines of our Heights leadership and what they're allowing and what they feel is wise in this season. So as long as we're for that, then I think, yeah, I mean, we're already looking at some possibilities, and we've actually got a lot of exciting ideas that we're like, okay, if this one restriction goes away, then we might be able to do that. So it depends on which restrictions, really.
Okay, and then while you're talking on that, when are high school groups going to be meeting?
So we're looking at starting up the week of the 17th, all right? And so whatever we end up doing, our kickoff is going to be the week of the 17th, and hopefully we're looking at possibly, and like this is very possibly having a lawn day where we have a service. So we're trying to see if that could actually happen.
Back lawn on Heights campus.
Back lawn on Heights campus, and trying to have one thing that kind of kicks off the semester, and then the following week just having house parties for a while and kind of take up temperature of what COVID stuff looks like.
Yep, awesome. Who wants to talk to, really good question from Amy Bittner, will life groups do Bible studies, and how will leaders be trained?
Do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that?
Yeah, so life groups, we will do Bible studies. For middle school, I can tell you right now, we have just started training leaders, because this is all new for our middle school group, doing life groups in homes. We are doing a pretty intensive 3-week training, which has, there is curriculum that the life group leaders are being taught on. And then we have, again, there is, like, I have a whole packet of stuff that these leaders were going through and being taught how to do a life group in a home, and then how to teach the Bible, and then so that's it will be a huge part of our life groups in homes.
And some of your leaders you had your first leader training last night,
Yep.
correct? Yeah, and
Yep.
you've got a couple more weeks of that, so
Yep.
that's good.
For high school, just a quick thing is we will have a video going out to every single one of the house parties. And so that will kickstart conversation. And then after that, our leaders will be able to kind of go off of that, but they'll have material prior to that. And then we'll have one leader training beforehand.
Cool.
Yeah, and then on that real quick, we are planning on doing a continuous leader training as the year goes on. So it's not just this one and done thing and then just leaving them to their own devices for the rest of the year. We have a pretty regular leader training scheduled, which will cover new things every time, just to better ensure that our leaders are up to date on Heights stuff, but also on the best ways to communicate the Bible and help them be able to teach practical biblical living
Right.
to our students 6th through.
And actually, coming up in August, the Life Groups Ministry for Adults at Heights is putting on a leader training for all group life leaders, like all small group leaders, whether they be adult life groups or youth life groups or whatnot. And so youth is even a part, their leaders are part of that training. Audrey Westlake asks, how will the students know who their life group leader is? When will that information be communicated? And then are there youth meetings occurring right now? So how will the students find out who their leader is?
So we will be sending out a registration to all of you parents. So be looking for that soon, because we plan on starting that same week, that week of the 17th, with all of the middle school life groups as well. And so we will be sending out a registration within the next week, hopefully. That will, obviously, we need all the basic information from your student or students. And then once we have all the students in, then we will pair life groups. Some of the leaders that were leaders last year for us are moving up with their students for middle school. So, I mean, that's already the leaders for them, but then we have new leaders, and then we have leaders, obviously, 6th grade is joining us this year, so we'll have leaders for their life groups, and then 7th grade as well. And so we will get that out before the week of the 17th, so that students know who their leader is, a little bit about their leader beforehand, and then where to go.
Cool.
In this area.
That's great. And then what, are there youth meetings occurring right now?
There were. So we've got about, what is it, for you it's 1 week off?
It'll be
two. Okay, so we both have 2 weeks off of just leader training, getting everything prepped. For us, it's figuring out the host homes and making sure that everything's ready for the semester. And then right afterward, we're gonna resume. But we've been doing 3 weeks of Watson Lake Hangouts, and so we just ended that yesterday.
Yeah, and this seems common. Like Thad's bringing up, like he's on Instagram, but the Heights Youth doesn't always send alerts. He gets other Instagram alerts from Heights and others, but not from youth. And then like similar, I lost it here, but. Some of the parents didn't get the park info. Can that be resent? And so that, you guys, we totally get that. Like, that's why we're going to have to dial in, not just exclusively on some of these platforms, but we're also, two things. One, we're going to communicate a whole lot more often. But then two, we've been trying to shore up all the glitches in our system on the back end, that when we text or when we do post or when we do email, and finding out sometimes weeks later that only half get out there. So a good thing is, like Marissa's posted there, if you're in youth, email Marissa at heightschurch.com. If you're kids, email Mandy at heightschurch.com, and just make sure we've got your current info, and that will be helpful. Marissa was sending out 435 emails individually today because of issues with the software database. So we're trying to fix that. Kimberly Moody asked, what exactly does following the guidelines mean? Whose guidelines? And I'll take that one. So when we talk guidelines, certainly, obviously, we're talking the safety guidelines and health and cleansing guidelines regarding COVID. Whose guidelines is probably the most thorough, robust version of what is out there from federal, CDC, and state level. But then we're actually in personal one-on-one email conversation with the health director of Yavapai County. And they've been advising us an awful lot too, because you've got the stuff that they just know is helpful in general, but then we also have to contextualize to our own county. And then we've looked at a pretty thorough list online. I was just looking today at PUSD's processes. I mean, it's very, very thorough. And so we're compiling really the most healthy version, the most of all of that, and those are our guidelines. And we can send you, Kimberly, like the exact nature of everything from what sort of cleaning product we're using, to the frequency, to the mask stuff, to the temperatures, to the social distancing, to the percentage of people that you can have in a certain area. All of that, we're taking our cues. I don't have that memorized yet, but that is kind of the guideline that will be pressed into those homes. What night for high school small groups or nights?
Yeah, so we're aiming for Tuesday nights right now, due to figuring out, and this is in the next 2 weeks, we'll kind of decide this, is some people's host homes and some leaders are available other days of the week. And so wondering if we split a bit of the group, depending on who can, if that's what is needed for availability. But our hope and our dream would be just to have them on Tuesday nights and have them all scattered throughout the Tri-City area.
But if you got on a different night and the kids can get in on a different night, at this point, like, that's preferable to the just the one option. Okay. And then what night would the house parties be?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that would be Tuesday. That's
okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I was talking about. Was the Tuesday nights would be our goal, but depending on when is available for the host homes, and then even going a step further in the host home thing is making sure that everything that we can do to make sure like everything is kind of overseen, and make sure that people are actually sanitizing, face masks and social distancing is happening within because of the close quarters in houses.
And then so some woman named Anna Merrell asked, like, what's the post-COVID schedule or plan? We know that's a way out, but I mean, obviously, for kids, there's a return to, eventually, we begin to gather again on Sundays parallel to the services. For youth, you heard Austin with the Sunday evening, Tuesday night for high school, correct? And then these home groups then would go on earlier in the week, but separate from the Tuesday, Sunday night stuff. Wednesday night for kids and 4th, 5th. So
we get run to the campus when that happens.
Yeah, some of that, you guys, some of that we're still talking about because we're aware of two things. One is when we relaunch on Sundays, whenever that might be, whether that's soon or late, the service times may change. Yeah. And it may be appropriate to gather the church, but not necessarily kids in that first wave. So we'll have to take that into account. The service times might change, the nights of the week we'll try to adjust, but post-COVID is so far down the road. The second thing is Prescott Valley's campus, and so we're just knowing that there's some things on the horizon that we're gonna try to sync up our ministry so that it's not just, random and you're guessing all the time, but Tyler Francis has a good little tip for Instagram. The more you interact with the page, the more likely you are to get notifications. So just going to the Heights High School page and like all their posts. That's good, Tyler. That's awesome. Cool. We had a couple other pre-webinar questions, and we're 6:06, so we're going to go 4 more minutes, okay? Side question for the 4th graders who moved up this year. This whole last year, the 4th graders worked super hard to earn a special Bible. And I think it's Kimberly, I'm not quite sure, was wondering what was going to happen with that.
Yeah, Miss Kim and Miss Sue did an amazing program on a quest that the 4th graders were a part of. And one of the end parts of that was to earn a Bible, a really cool Bible. That plan is still in place. Apologize, it has taken us a little bit longer in this season to pull everything together, but we are finalizing everything. So those 4th graders that have put in an amazing amount of work studying Scripture, which is just the coolest thing in the world, yes, we are honoring you guys, and you will be getting this really cool gift coming to you soon.
Cool. Carrie Martin wanted to know, is Kyle Walker still a leader for the incoming 8th grade boys?
Kyle.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Why is that a question? That's the real question.
But Kyle, I'll take your application. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Kids would too.
You're fine.
Great. I think I think we covered most of that. Kimberly, totally hear you there, and I think that's the heart even between my wife's question. Kimberly just said, that's a lot of different nights. This year I'll have a kid in each group, and we're in the same. We've got Leilani that's in first grade, we've got Brody that's in 8th, and then Braddock who's in high school in 9th. And so, but again, the heartbeat here, especially for this foreseeable future, is to be in a group, small group in the homes. It sounds like even the virtual ones, maybe for 4th, 5th, might be best suited to that Monday, Tuesday time slot. So hopefully you're just having to worry about Monday, Tuesday for a little while. Then what I'm working on with this whole crew here is to try to look at that overall and figure out what the best scope might look like, so we're not out every single night of the week. The other crazy part is we've got a campus that is as nice as it is, as big as it is, it still can't hold all of these guys' ministries on any one night, especially during this current situation. So we've got to get creative with that. Maybe Prescott Valley will bring some opportunity in a different avenue that way, but it'll be good. So we're looking to really launch into some group life here in this pre-fall break season very strongly. It's a best case scenario for us right now. And then some great content being pushed toward the kids that as a parent is just hugely valuable to us to help lean in and just actually do the work of the ministry with my own kids. And then that actually, side note, this isn't in the scripture, this is a little rant. Youth ministry actually started in the 1960s, technically, at the exact same time that parents stopped discipling their kids. And the church then responded to go, oh, parents aren't going to do it anymore. I'm not talking about Sunday school. I'm talking about there wasn't such a thing as what youth ministry is today. And once that happened, then over the years, not these amazing people that I'm seeing on here, you still disciple your kids, but this is very much a both and. Now, the church plays a huge, huge, crucial part in discipling the kids, but it needs to be in conjunction with you guys. We really can't do it without you. And so we're going to try to resource as best we can, but that kind of brings me down, kind of land the plane here a little bit. There's 3 key things that I've got a heart for that we're kind of talking about that go across the board for your kids and your youth. One is, where do Jesus and the Bible come to bear on the life of your kid and your youth? Without Jesus, like, we are all lost, and the gospel is our only hope in this life, and certainly paving the way to the life to come. And so Jesus is the leader, and he's the focal point of our whole ministry, but we come to know Jesus, the living word, through his word, the Bible. And so I'm so impressed by curriculum or stuff that these guys are developing on their own, especially going into this next year, that is Bible-centric. That just really anchors and gives a really solid foundation of the scriptures. That's key, whether they're in kindergarten or all the way up to a senior in high school. That's so key. Second thing is family that Pablo talked about. That was so huge for me, like as a high schooler, finding my tribe, finding my family. I long for that for my own kids, to have, because we know what it's like. You guys know what your kids are facing, what your youth are facing. It's intense today. And so to have the opportunity to, regardless of what you're facing at school and the challenges there, you're being equipped by God and his word, but then you're surrounded by godly brothers and sisters, peers that are upholding you when your kids go into school, wherever that might be. But that family aspect is huge because that does last a lot longer. And friendships, godly friendships, are so key at that stage of life, really at any stage of life. So where Jesus and the Word come to bear, where family can thrive, those deep relationships. But then thirdly, for me, that place where some of our kids that already know Jesus have a place that they know that they can invite their friends who don't know Jesus. And so whether that is some special event stuff, whether that is at the large group gatherings that we get back to, whether that's fifth quarter after a football game thing or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that we try to be creative. I know my boys have taken advantage of that, being able to invite some of their friends that don't believe or know Jesus yet, and that's a huge blessing. But related to that is that place where they can step out in service as a kid, as a teenager, for they can start to serve and model that life of service that Jesus models for us as they serve their unsaved friends or they serve in the church or whatever. And so we're going to try to bring some scope and sequence to that family ministry wide. So from birth through 18, what does it look like? What foundation biblically are we laying? What deep relationships are we fostering? And then where is there an outlet for them to serve the people around them, even and maybe especially the lost? And if we've got that down, then I'm super excited for what's to come. So we'll double back here on a couple, and then we'll wrap this up. So Anna, when is the high school thing on the grass behind H1? It hasn't been approved by senior leadership team or eSpace or the facilities people.
Anything.
So we'll let you know when, but it's in the queue right now. We should know next week when that can happen. Dad wants to know, are we doing a set curriculum for high school and junior high house parties, home groups, or allowing the leaders to have a format?
We've got a set curriculum that we're going to actually dictate through those videos, and through that the teaching will actually center.
Cool. Jody just wants to thank everyone in front and behind the camera. You're also important success of our kids. We appreciate all of you. Kim Kloos asks, will high school choose their house, mixed age groups and genders?
Yes, they get to choose. The big thing we have is we're going to have an RSVP for every house, just because we have to keep it to a certain limit. So if you don't make it into one of the houses, then you want to go into a different one. And depending on where our RSVPs end up lying is how many houses we're actually going to end up needing.
Cool. All right. Gosh, you guys, thanks so much for joining in and being a part. Thank you guys a ton for what you guys do week in and week out. Families, thanks for the prayers and the patience and the grace extended. I think we got to most of the questions, but not all. And then we can certainly hear kind of in between the lines of some of your questions, some of the stuff that we know we're going to need to go back and chat through and just kind of bolster. But we are excited because discipleship doesn't need a giant building and thousands of dollars or even a large group gathering. We can still minister in huge ways, and you've got our commitment to work our hardest to that end for your kid, for youth, keep them safe, offer ministry that is age and developmentally appropriate, trying to be aware that you can't just lump kids into the same. Every sixth grader is different. Every 10th grader is different. Every kindergartner is different. And so we tailor stuff uniquely and still provide some broad stuff that's the same across the board. We're doing the best we can in that regard. So like they mentioned there in the chat, if you got more questions, you can always reach out. This will be captured and recorded. You can share this with other family members or friends as they have a need. And then we'll be reaching out for registration and more communication stuff in the next couple of weeks. So God bless you. We're praying for you. Thanks for spending the hour and 15 with us tonight. It means a lot to us, and we would just want to do this and be more and more helpful in the weeks to come. So God bless you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.